This is Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society of BC, brought to you by Sitka Game. Come along as we bring conversations that matter to you into the high alpine. Mr. Rensmag, here we are. We're post-Kamloops convention, and I'm feeling a little exhausted, I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, that was quite the weekend. My first time being behind the scenes of the show, and man, there's a lot of work that goes in, and just nonstop all day long, every day.
Yeah, it is incredible how much we put into it, and but what a great weekend! Just good to have everybody, the family, back together. This was our biggest show ever, and just such a great feeling. Like Saturday morning, it was Adam Foss that introduction to mountain hunting seminar. How many people were in that thing? Would you guess?
It was well over 100. There was 30 people standing in the back. I've never seen that room that full. It was incredible.
Wow. Yeah, phenomenal. So, yeah, a lot of good vibes, a lot of great camaraderie, a lot of backpack races were entertaining, to say the least. Colin definitely kicked that up a notch and took it to the next level. And it was not for the faint of heart, that course. I'll say that right now.
No, our Wild Sheep ambassador, Jeff Jackson there, he was taking some photos, and he sent me a link today, and he captured moments of the backpack race that were spot on. It was some good stuff, good content in there.
Well, I seen that post he did, and the one guy coming off the plank there, he's just sideways. So I'm sure the resolution of that was not pretty. It did not look like it was going to be good.
No, there's a series of photos. I think Jeff was on rapid shutter speed, and he's got that guy from start to finish hitting the ground. Yeah. So just a fantastic weekend. And, again, there we are, our members stepping up, supporting what we do and supporting our conservation initiatives. And there was a little bit of rust. I'm not going to lie. We had a few cogs in the machine that were a little rusty after taking literally 4 years off. But over and all, I'm getting texts and phone calls literally all day the last 2 days saying what a great weekend it's been. And pretty exciting, man. Yeah, no, it was great to see everybody and be in person and get that show rocking again. I'm already excited for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. A couple of our table sponsors are like, save me 2 tables next year. I'm like, sign me up now. Just want to make sure we don't miss out on it. But lots of cool stuff. We're already working on it. Omer from Precision Optics called me this morning. He goes, hey, I got somebody that we need for next year and I'm not going to say any more, but it's going to be one of those ones where you're like, that guy's there. Okay. So the biggest thing that we've run into is we're capacity limited, right? Like we could only sell just over 450 tickets. We were a full house. There wasn't a lot of empty seats in that place. And so what do we do next year? Because we had quite an extensive waiting list. And I'm not sure what the outcome of that is. Do we end up back in the coast or whatever? But we'd love to get more people in there, but we couldn't do anything better.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had to field a lot of angry calls and messages from folks that wanted the seat, and we just didn't have the seats. It was unfortunate, but it also spoke to our membership. We sold out quick, fast and furious, and loaded up that venue.
Yeah, awesome. So what else is new? What else is going on? So convention, what else is happening in the world out there?
Well, unfortunately, some somber, sad news out of the conservation world today. The passing of the BC Wildlife Federation president, Chuck Zuckerman. Chuck was a powerhouse of conservation for decades, and his impact will be felt for generations to come. Our condolences go to his family, friends, and all of those that had the privilege and honor to work with a guy like that.
Yeah, Chuck was one of those guys. His heart was in the right place, and he was always there and giving it 100%. The BCWF was involved with the Jurassic Classic for years, and Chuck was there and just always trying to be innovative and find new ways to support our initiatives. And so to all the good people at the BCWF, we're sorry to hear that. It's just absolutely tragic when you lose somebody that's so influential in your organization, and certainly to his family and friends. So yeah, really, really sad.
Yeah, there'll be a long-lasting effect in his legacy, I'm sure.
the guy was capable of lighting up a room with his smile, and was always on point. It's gonna miss that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're kicking into episode 118. It's just coming up on spring here, not too long, and we got some pretty cool guests lined up. A lot of really cool things. But this was a real fun podcast. You know, we're trying to get a really good diverse group of people on the cast. You know, whether it be conservation, whether it be science based, whether it be but hunting too, right? And Derek Blake is a hunter. This guy is the real deal, and you know, the lifestyle him and his wife lead, and now their new kid. It's pretty cool to talk to Derek.
Yeah, that's the lifestyle they lead. That's something else. You talk hunting, talk fishing. I don't know if there's many people out there that can hold a candle to how he lives. You know, if he's not guiding for bears, he's out hunting, and if he's not hunting, he's living on his boat fishing. Like, just true outdoorsman, that guy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And we recorded this a while back, but what was the story about his daughter and the life membership? I can't remember. I maybe shouldn't spoil it.
Yeah, well, you have to listen, but she's the youngest WSF, was it the Summit? So you can find out the details when you listen to the podcast, but his daughter's the youngest, and it's something special when you listen to the finer details.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Derek is a great guy. You know, have a great listen. Really heavily involved in wild sheep. Wild sheep conservation obviously comes from the guide outfitting side of things, but I really enjoyed our chat with Derek, and definitely want to have him back on in the future because he's got a few stories to share, I think.
Yeah, we're going to have to recap with him, I think, at the end of this year. He should have a few extra stories after you listen to his plans for this year. So,
yeah.
Lucky little girl he's got there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to whip into this episode, and I know we give you guys a lot of raffle talk, but we're launching a new one, and I won't belabor it, but if you head over to our website, we've got $55,000 in prizes in rifles. We've got 6 rifles up for grabs, $50 a ticket, and you got 6 chances to win rifles that are anywhere in value from I think the cheapest one we have on is $16,000, or the most expensive one, and the cheapest one's around that $7,000 mark. So Precision Optics, we partnered up with them again, Omer and his crew. And worked with a bunch of great people, and I will go through the sponsors some other time, but just a great raffle. And we're going to let that one hang around for a bit and giving people an opportunity to get involved, and good chance to win, and more importantly, put money back towards the wild sheep resource.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's no better time to roll on with this podcast.
Episode 118, Derek Blake. Enjoy. This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Precision Optics. Thank you, Sitka Gear and Precision Optics, for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems. All right, here we are. Tech issues sorted. We're rolling. I've got us recording. So, Derek, welcome to the podcast, Talk is Sheep. Awesome to have you on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so if this sounds a little canned, we just did 5 minutes of recording on the other platform. So we've got all the kinks worked out, but you got some exciting news to share with the world. I think that's happened here recently. So let's hear all about it.
Yeah, right on. Friday morning, just before noon, my wife Ruby had a baby. We named her Harbor Moonflower Blake. Ruby's middle name is Mayflower. Her parents are hippies, and she goes by Ruby May. So we have a little Harbor Moon. And we got released from the hospital on Monday and got home, and I've just been enjoying every minute of it.
Awesome. Congratulations to both you and Ruby, and awesome to have healthy little Harbor in your care and at home. And so we're talking offline about Sheep Week and how you haven't missed any for 14 years. So sounds like some adjustments are due in the coming years here, possibly, and maybe a new member for the foundation, or what's going on?
Yeah, so we decided to make Harbor a Summit Life member at Sheep Week. So I think Ruby was 37-ish weeks pregnant at the time. So we got the youngest Summit Life member. And yeah, excited for her to be a part of the organization. We have a sheep hunt planned already that she'll be 2, and it's actually a hunt for Ruby. So I'm going to be packing Harbor in a backpack, and Ruby's gonna shoot a ram. Hopefully, if we can be successful.
That's awesome. What's the story there? What you guys got a hunt plan in Alaska, or what do you got on the go?
Actually, it's for a desert sheep in Mexico, and they had a last minute deal at Rancho LaGuardia, and it was for last December. And we were on the boat fishing in the middle of summer, and they popped up with it. And I'd met the guys last year there at Rancho LaGuardia, and they seemed super nice and heard good things, talked to some of their other hunters. And so I sent them a message, and we were going to jump on it, or we technically did. And I wired them some money to get it going. And then we went to our doctor's appointment with Ruby being pregnant. And the doctor was like, yeah, no way. Ruby at 7 months pregnant shouldn't be shooting a ram and shooting a gun and climbing and being that active. And so I let them know, and I was kind of worried that we were going to lose our opportunity. And just being that they're such a great outfit, they just said, hey, no worries. You guys are having a baby. That's the most important thing. Let's just sign you up for the first whenever you want to go in the 2024-2025 season. And so we picked dates at actually at Dallas SCI this year. We'll be going after Sheep Show of January 2025, and Ruby's going to shoot a desert sheep, and we'll have the whole family together. And kind of our idea behind this one is it's going to be the family slam, where between maybe Ruby's going to shoot the first few sheep in it, and then when Harbor gets of age and can shoot a ram, maybe she can finish the slam for us.
That's awesome. So what part do you get to play in that in the slam? You're the photographer, or what's the deal there?
You know what? Maybe it's the part of me that now is guiding. I get a lot of pleasure being a part of the hunt. And the one thing, as everybody knows that's done a well planned out sheep hunt, there's a lot of planning and stress and financial pressure on it. And for me, this is just going to be all a vacation and fun. And I don't have any of the pressure. We just get to go have a good time, and as a family go hunt together. So I kind of just get a vacation sheep hunt.
That's awesome, man. Very, very cool. Will this be Ruby's first ram then?
Yeah, unless she kills a doll in Alaska before then, she has not killed a sheep yet. She hasn't gone on a sheep hunt yet. So it's the start. I know it's kind of a backwards to start with a desert sheep, but I mean, the way it worked out, it's just we couldn't pass up an opportunity. And actually of all of the sheep hunts that I've been on, hunting in Mexico and the temperature and everything, it's just fun to hunt desert sheep. I mean, I'm all about the long, hard hunt and putting in your time and effort, and it's still down there. You still got to hike and do it, but there's something about 90 degrees plus and that desert atmosphere, especially when you live in Alaska. And so I'm just looking forward to it. It's just going to be a super fun hunt for us.
And you want to go down there and pack a toddler around in your backpack in that heat, eh?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I figure that toddler's a lot lighter than what I would normally be packing around. So it's it should be fun.
True.
With Rancho LaGuardia, what are their elevations at? Are they like, I know Sierra Alamo, like they're on they're like 3,000 foot is their elevation on some of their hunts. So it's crazy, but
I don't know. I know we fly to, I think it's Chihuahua. And so it's south of like Texas. It's kind of in the middle of Mexico there, south of the border. But I haven't even looked into that. I'm assuming, I guess in the middle, it's got to have some elevation, but I don't know. I mean, of all of the sheep hunts too that I've done, the desert sheep is also the easiest too. So I'm not too stressed out or worried about it. And I'm just looking forward to it as a really fun hunt to do with my family.
That's awesome. Well, hey, for our listeners and for everybody that's not quite up to speed, talk a little bit about where you are, what you're doing. Talk a little bit about guide life and just bring us up to speed on that, if you don't mind, Derek.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Derek Blake, and I live in Alaska, born and raised, and in Anchorage, Alaska, is where our home base is. I'm a commercial fisherman, and I'm also a hunting guide. I commercial fish in Prince William Sound for salmon. I seine, which you can use a boat up to 58 feet long, of which my vessel is a 58 footer. Um, we do that in the summertime. The boat also does some tendering where I buy fish off of smaller boats called gill netters. And that's my main business. And then my business that I love and my passion obviously is hunting. And I started guiding a while back and working for outfitters about 20 years ago. And actually the first hunt I started working was Kodiak brown bear. And now I guide for Paul Chervenak of Kodiak Outdoor Adventures. And I also have a transport business where I take deer hunters and they live aboard the boat. And then I blast them around every morning to a good hunting spot for deer, send them off with their food, pick them up in the evening, bring them back to the boat. We deal with the deer and animals and make a big dinner and do it again the next day. So I got a few different things that we do, but keeps me pretty busy. We live and work on our boat from middle of April until the end of November. So it's a busy season for us. And then we go to the shows in the winter and try to relax and recover and then take right off and do it again.
That's awesome. So now, obviously this is a lifestyle and you guys have built your life around that. Do you see it changing at all with the new baby and with Moonflower? Is it Moon Harbor? Harbor Moonflower. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Is it going to change? Do you see anything or is any lifestyle changes with that? How does it look for you there?
We're kind of taking this one day at a time and seeing how it goes, but our plan is to not change. On the boat, Ruby and I operate together as a family, and we want to raise our kid doing this. I grew up on a boat, commercial fishing, not quite as young as she will, but also it was not on as nice of a boat as we have. We're going to set up one part of the boat basically kind of has Ruby and the baby spot, and it's isolated from the rest of the crew and everybody else. So she can be mom. She can keep doing that. As far as a fishing operation goes, I hired another person so that way Ruby can focus on being mom. And on the hunting side, it's going to take a little bit of adjustment, but Ruby normally cooks for all the clients. So when I come back in from guiding, instead of me dealing with gear and clients and other stuff, I might be making sure the baby's good while Ruby cooks. And, it'll take some adjustment, but we're going to try to go for it and continue on as our life and just adapt with our baby into it. And hopefully she grows up, the way we see it is it might be difficult at times, especially maybe toddler age, but also at the same time, during the day, Ruby's not guiding. She goes to the beach and goes hiking, and you got a toddler and that can be picking seashells and throwing rocks in the water, and we got a dog on the boat too, and playing with the dog on the beach. So there's a lot of cool things that a lot of kids wouldn't get without that kind of lifestyle. So we're going to make every effort to do it as a family operation and not change. Of course, if that doesn't work, if they need to sneak home for a little bit, or take a break here and there, that's going to happen. But our effort is a family operation 100% of the way.
That's awesome. When do you typically get out on the boat? When's the baby going to make the move and get her sea legs underneath her?
So our first brown bear hunt of the year always starts on April 20th. And so we'll load up the boat. The boat's in Kodiak right now. And we will leave the April 19th and we'll spend the night. The clients will fly and make it to the boat on April 20th. So we're just gonna go for it. April 19th, the boat's taking off with my wife and my baby, and we're just gonna make it work.
That's going to be quite the experience and the adventure. That's be neat to follow along if you guys keep us updated on social media. Then we'll be watching
for sure. My wife's a little bit better at the social media part than I am, but yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be plenty of updates.
Right on. So yeah. With the brown bears, it seems like you guys put down some stompers. Just flipped through your page the other day and went back in time because I'd only been following you a short while, and that's got to be quite something to be closing the distance. That's all boat hunt. Are you spot and stock? How are you going about those?
So it's spot and stock. We sleep on the boat, but we take off in the morning in a smaller skiff, and we'll go to a spot and we'll glass, and spend our time looking for the right bear. Of course, we can use our skiff and change our glassing location if we need be, or if it's just real slow. But yeah, Paul Chervenak's got 3 really awesome federally exclusive areas, and he's got some great guides that work for him. I'm honored to be one of his guys. Paul won the Guide of the Year or Outfitter of the Year award this year at Wild Sheep Foundation. So that was pretty cool. I mean, everything about his operation is top notch. So that is first and foremost why our first part of success is Paul's experience and how Paul has taught us. And then his areas are great, but also Kodiak right now, and even the Alaska Peninsula. I mean, in Alaska, it seems like things kind of go up and down as far as animals and trophy quality. And right now, sheep aren't doing very good, and there's other issues here and there. But brown bears are just we're doing good. We're killing big bears. Last spring in my boat area, I was 50% Boone and Crockett bears, 10-foot Boone and Crockett, and the other 2 were no slouches either. And typically Paul's outfit is killing about 25% Booners, which is, I mean, in any species in North America, I mean, that's pretty good odds. I mean, I don't really know a lot of hunts you can book and actually have that good of chance of killing a Boone and Crockett animal.
No, that's sounds like an outstanding percentage of B and C coming in.
No. Yeah. It's pretty cool, man. It's and I get excited for every one of them. Those brown bears are just of all the animals I've hunted in North America. I mean, a big boar is truly the smartest animal in North America. There's just nothing that compares to it, and it's just awesome when we get a big one on the ground.
And if you're spot and stalking, are you doing a lot of it from shore and then going in? And because I would imagine that you're dealing with thick vegetation and you're probably getting up close and personal with some of these giants.
Yeah, we do a lot of archery hunts. We are getting close. Even on rifle hunts, we try to get right in there. I mean, 20, 30 yards on a lot of rifle hunts isn't uncommon. I mean, sometimes even 10 yards or less, if it is thick. One of the things that we do on our hunts that help us be successful in those type quarters is we always have 2 guides per hunter. And so when we do find a bear that we want to make a stalk on, we leave one guide back, and they're our spotter, and they help us navigate the thick stuff. And that really helps us be successful in finding our bear of having a guy to hand signal you and give you some help.
Yeah, that definitely helps out a bit, and a little bit of extra safety cushion there. Someone telling you where the bear is while you're sneaking up and you can't see him.
Yeah. And of course it's all, we don't get to talk by any means, but it's always a look back and see what their hand signals are. And we have, in Alaska, you can't use radios or anything like that, any sort of communications, but sometimes you're looking back and the person, you can almost see them pulling their hair out of their head because, you're not paying attention or not getting it right. And then other times it's just like they walk you right in and that's our rule is we trust our spotter. And I've been on both sides of that where I've been like, what is he telling me to do? Like, no way. And then all of a sudden you just pop around and the bear's right there. And then other times it's like you trust in your gut and you look back and your spotter tells you something and you went past where you're supposed to go. He walked you right back in and you kill the bear. So a lot of our success also has to do with that. And when we are having archery clients, it really makes it fun.
Oh, I can only imagine. I've had a few times giving hand signals to family and friends, and you're looking back at them and they're waving at you as you're trying to oh, there's the caribou over here, like go that way. And they're just like, hey, what are you doing? Add for an interesting time,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's pretty neat. You got any when you're dealing with that, you got to have some moments of they're breathing down your neck a little bit dicey moments. I'm sure you got any stories you're willing to share that's one that's fun to look back on now, but not so much so in the moment.
So anytime we've had to go after a wounded bear, that is the most intense moment when you're on your hands and knees and going through the thick stuff, following blood and trying to figure out where they're going. I've been pretty fortunate. I haven't had like any, I know other guides that have come right up on the wounded bear and not noticed it until they're right on top of it and had to shoot from the hip as they're coming at them. I don't have any exciting story like that. I have had bears come into camp. I've been on a trail and had a bear coming at me and literally sprinting right down the same bear trail that I'm on in thick brush and push myself into the alders as it's coming, kind of realizing it's not coming, like it's coming at me, but not me itself, and like have it brush right through and like brush against me as it goes past me. And it had caught the wind of another hunter. So that was one interesting moment I had. Another one, coming back down to the beach and having an inflatable on the beach, and there's a bear on the beach just about getting ready to start tearing it apart. And it's like in that moment you realize you're kind of either going to have to swim or you need to do something. And obviously, you can't shoot the bear or do anything like that. So it's like that quick impulse decision. And my impulse decision was sprint and charge at it and scream at it the best I could. And it worked and chased it right off. And we've had to run him out of camp before. Nothing too crazy. Paul has some better stories than I do. Of course, he's been doing it for 40 years. For me, though, just the excitement. I do have a funny story, though, that you guys might appreciate. So a lot of you might know Cole Kramer, who I guide and work with, and is one of my close friends. And Cole and I have guided a lot together. And we had the guys from Kennetrek Boots and Jim Windjam and Bob Scherer on a hunt, both archery. And Jim was done right off the bat, and I had hand signaled Cole in, and they had a really crazy experience of like bears just all over him, 7 bears. And Cole keeps looking back at me, and I'm waving his hands down, and he's actually having to chase the bears off of them because they're just coming right on top of him. And he's like, which one? And I'm giving him the signal, no. And they're like, do we need to leave? And these bears keep peeling out because they wind them. And I'm like, nope, you need to sit down. And then finally the right bear came and came right up to him. 20 yards, boom. And so that was on day 2 of the hunt. And then on day 4, we spotted a bear, and Cole and I are looking at it, and it's like laying in a hole, and we can't get the thing to wake up. And I'll make the story, it's kind of a longer story, I'll make it a little shorter for you guys. But it finally like rolls over, and we see just ivory claws. You can't tell how big it is, anything, but you just see, these claws like my fingers, and they're just pure ivory white all the way up and down. That image in my spotting scope, I'll never forget it. And Cole and I look at each other, and we're just like, wow. And so at that point, all we knew was we just needed to confirm that it was a boar and not a sow, not like a really old sow. And so we watched. About an hour later, it got up, turned around, and laid right back down. And then as soon as it got up and turned, we both, 100% were like, old boar, big boar, need to kill this bear. And Bob and Cole went down, and I helped them get right in position, wind coming in their face, bears bedded in a hole, and they're like 25, 28 yards from it, and they sit. And they're sitting and waiting, and they had to wait for 3 hours. And all of a sudden, there's bears getting up, and I'm videoing it. And I have a video going, and then I'm in my spotter, and I'm waiting for them to draw. Finally draws, bear turns, makes a good shot. They look up at me to watch. I'm watching the bear. They can't see it. I think he flung another arrow, but I don't know if it hit it or not. And they lose it, and they can't see it anymore where they're at. And I can see it up above, and it goes, and I'm watching, and it dies. So we're all pumped up. We all give the hand signals. Everybody's excited. I grab everything from where I'm at, Cole's stuff, my stuff, and head on down to meet him. And they're laughing, and we're all excited, and we're happy. And then all of a sudden Cole says, "Oh, Bob, you got to tell Derek the story of what happened." And Bob says he's sitting there behind Cole, and they're trying to not move. They're not trying to make any noise. They're right there watching this bedded bear. And Bob says, "Man, I really got to pee." And Cole's like, "Not much I can tell you." So it happens to go through everything, and finally get done, and Cole's like, "Oh, well, at least you can go pee now." And Bob's like, "I did twice." And we were hunting in chest waders, so he made sure it went down one leg only and not both. But he actually had to take his chest waders off right while we were doing photos and everything, and he drained his chest waders out of being twice. So yeah, that night in camp we came up. His nickname was Bobby Wetfoot.
Oh man, I bet wouldn't be surprised if that happens a little bit more often. The guys just don't joke about it or tell you. But, oh, that's a good story. I like that. Oh, well, that's where do you go from that? It's what
I'll give you one more if you want to hear one more going to the bathroom story with a bear client.
Absolutely.
So this one we were on like day 4 of our hunt, and the neighboring area had a guide with a hunter that killed on day 2, and his guide is named Jason Bunch. And one thing that we all do in Kodiak, if we can and if we have time, like we all help each other out. And so on day 3, Jason brings his client over and sits with us, and we're all spotting and looking. So we have 3 guides, and we're watching for bears, and his client's excited because he killed his bear on day 2 to keep it going. And we didn't end up seeing a good bear that day. So day 4 happens, and they decided they were going to look in a spot, and they were glassing, and I spotted a good bear, and the client and I decided to go after it, and we got a vantage above the bear where the bear bedded and sit down for a while. And he kind of seemed like, oh, this probably isn't going to work out. It just kind of didn't seem super high odds of working out where he was and how thick the stuff was down below us. So I'm like, well, I'll just wait it out. So I made lunch, we're eating lunch, and all of a sudden I look over, and about 600 yards past us, I see the bear pops out. Like I couldn't see him move through the brush, but there was an opening. And my hunter was a little bit out of shape, bigger guy. And I just told him, I said, just take your gun. I said, you start going as fast as you can that way. I said, I'll pack everything up. So I just took I got my big Barney's pack, and I just shoved his pack inside my pack and everything around, shoved it all in. And I caught up to him, and I was like, how you doing? And he's huffing puffing. I said, I'm going to go ahead. And I said, I'm not going to go past you, but I'm going to try to find the nicest route to get there. And he's like, okay. So I go forward, and I go a little ways, and I keep looking behind, and I'm waiting for him to get there, and go a little further. And then I stop, and he's breathing really hard. He's super red. He's dripping sweat everywhere. And I was like, okay, this next knob up, if he's close to where he was, like we're gonna have a shot on him. And he kind of seemed like he was, like there's no way that bear's still gonna be there. And I was like, okay. So I go through the brush, and right as I'm coming up, I see a bear skull. And so I look over, and I'm like, holy crap, a deadhead. Like I reached and I grabbed the bear skull, keep going, and right before we get to the top, I'm like, okay, I need to have this guy catch his breaths. So he catches up to me, and I'm like, let's just breathe here. Let's get our heart rate down. Let's get ready. And I was like, why don't you load a bullet into your gun? And he looks at me, and he's like, why don't we just make sure the bear's there before I load up? And I'm like, fair enough. That's fine. So we're ready. We start peeking over, and I peek first. The bear hasn't moved anywhere. It's 20 yards from us. And I look at him, I come back down, and I'm like, load. And he's like, what? I'm like, it's right here. And he's like, so instead of loading, he's like in disbelief. He just stands up, and he looks, and the bear just turns and looks right at that time at us. And I'm like, load your gun and shoot the bear. And he loads the gun, and he shoots it, and it takes off running. And I look at him, I'm like, reload and shoot him again. He reloads, shoots him again, drops the bear. And the guy is just like, he's amazed. He's like, I cannot believe that just worked out. And I'm like, sometimes we just get lucky. And we're all pumped. And we go up to the bear, or we start going up to the bear, and he's like, hold on, I got to do something. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know what he does. But he runs behind me. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm like, whatever. I really want to go check out this bear, because it's a good bear, and it's kind of a fun little stock that we put on it. And I'm like, whatever, I'm waiting for him. And he comes back, and I was like, what were you doing? He's like, I had to take a shit. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. So we go to the bear, and then the next thing I know, Paul, he ends up, I sent him a message, and he was in the boat and he was watching from the boat. And the next thing I know, like I'm kind of thinking Paul's going to show up here later. I've been taking photos and knocking alders down and kind of getting set up, and Paul doesn't really show up for a while. I'm like, no big deal. But he does send a message that says, wait to start cutting till I get there. Well, him and Jason and the other hunter, they show up too. And turns out Jason and the other hunter were watching from across from a different part. We were on an island and they were watching from Kodiak, and they had us the whole thing in the spotter. They watched the stock, they watched everything. And they were like, hey, we got to ask a question. What happened after you shot the bear and you disappeared? And he's like, I had to go take a shit. So it ended up going out to everybody. I guess it's so our stories of that are more exciting than our bear chasings and close calls, but at least it keeps us on our toes, right?
It's all about the adventure.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's funny. That's how long does the bear season go up there for you? If you're going in April 19th this year, when you heading back to shore kind of deal?
So bear season ends May 15th. Our first hunt we run, it's an 11-day hunt from April 20th through April 30th. And then we have a little break until May 5th. And then kind of basically why that break is there is in case our hunter isn't successful by day 11, which usually is not the case. They could stay a couple extra days. And then we run our second hunt May 5th through the 15th, and the season closes on the 15th.
Oh, okay, right on. That's a pretty quick season.
Yeah, it's quick. We just and then in the fall it opens October 25th, and we usually all go out on the opener.
Right on. So the reason we're all here, the sheep guys, and you're somewhat of an accomplished sheep hunter, to put it humbly. Let's lean into that. I want to know about your first sheep. I want to hear that.
First sheep. So my first sheep hunt, or my first sheep, I did go try a couple times. I didn't grow up sheep hunting. My dad didn't sheep hunt. I did grow up hunting, but I kind of had to figure things out a little bit. And so my first successful sheep hunt, I went in with a friend of mine who also had done a lot of hunting with. We both grew up in the town of Cordova. It's a pretty small town. There's a lot of goats there, a lot of deer, a lot of moose, a lot of bears, but there's no sheep. So we had, killed everything there. And me and my buddy wanted to start sheep hunting. And so we decided we were going to go up to the Brooks Range. And kind of last minute, it turned out that his cousin could make the trip with us. And so we had three guys heading in, not really knowing what we were doing or where we were going to go, but we found an air taxi to drop us in a spot, and we picked a spot, and he dropped us off, and there was an airstrip that he could land in. We had three hunters, and just to save the area, I won't talk about who the outfitter was that was in the area, but anyways, we got there, and there's 7 or 8 or 9 tents and all set up, and it's like August 7th, and the season opens August 10th. And the outfitter came and talked to us, and he was like, okay, what's your guys' plan? I got a couple guided hunts. I want to make sure my guys aren't going to be interfering with, you guys, and everybody can have a good opportunity here. We could see sheep right from where we were dropped off. So we weren't too worried about it. We were figuring we were going to make it happen. And he kind of told us where their guys were going to go, and we decided we would go a different direction. And so the morning of the 8th, we took off and started hiking our way, and we started seeing some rams, and way back in the head of a valley, we saw rams that looked like they were definitely at least 2 in the group that were legal. So we camped that night, and then on the 9th, we headed up towards them, and we got pretty close to where we thought we could set up camp and kind of have a slam dunk deal. Oh, and back it up a bit. When we were taking off to leave from where we were landed, the outfitter was like, so who's shooting? And we were like, well, all of us. And he's like, okay, yeah, whatever. So anyways, we take off, and the night of August 9th, we started snowing pretty good. And then we woke up to like 6 inches of snow, and which is no big deal. I mean, sheep hunting out and mountain hunting, whatever, it's pretty common. And we kind of poked around from where we had camped, and right in the top of the valley drainage where we had seen the rams. One of them was feeding down, and it was 450 yards away, and we were watching it for a while, and there really wasn't a good play to get much closer. And it was an older ram. It was a double broomed ram. We could see a lot of stacked up age rings, and we're just like, I guess we should shoot this sheep, and we're like, who's going to shoot it? And one of my buddies was like, well, he said, why doesn't his cousin shoot it? And so he's like, well, never shot anything at 450 yards. And John was like, Derek, do you want to shoot it? And I was like, sure, I'll shoot it. So I shot the sheep, and we hiked over to it, and super excited about it. First time I got to see a sheep on the ground, and dealt with it. We brought it back to camp right where we were, and we decided just to kind of hang out for that evening. And the next morning we took off, and we went over that the pass and into the next valley drainage. We figured that's where the rest of the sheep had gone, and sure enough, we find a group of rams. We could put a good stock on them, and there's 2 really nice rams in it. Actually, there was 3 really nice rams in it. And since I was done shooting, I had a video camera, and I got all set up and got the guys ready. And I mean, we're at 250 yards, should be super easy. And I'm all ready, and they are going to count it off and shoot. And they count off and they shoot, and they both missed. And so they start moving around, and I'm trying to coach them into where their rams are going. And I was telling my buddy John, we were really excited about his sheep. And in the film, I'm following his ram. It's a nice ram. And I'm zoomed right in on him. And I'm like, John, are you on him? And I explain where he is. And he squeezes the trigger, and he just says, got him. And I'm looking at this ram, and this ram's standing, and it did not get shot.
Oh, man.
And I was like, okay. And I zoom out, and I see a ram on the ground, and I was like, well, okay, so he got his. So we kind of I found the other one, and Tyson, his cousin, shot the other ram. So we're like, cool, we got a couple sheep. So then it's in the afternoon, and we had left camp where my sheep was, and we started dealing with them. And because we had gone down through, we'd have to hike them up a ways to get back to camp. And we're like, I think we could actually just hike and just go straight down this drainage and go right to our airstrip where we had left like a base camp tent. And so we're like, okay, cool, let's do that. So we deal with them, take photos. I mean, terrible at taking photos, blood's all over the capes, everything like that. But we hike back, we got our 2 rams, and we go into camp. And it's the evening of August 11th, maybe 10 or 11 p.m. It's still daylight. And the outfitter comes right up to us, and he's like, oh, wow, you guys killed 2 rams on August 11th. Like, good job. We're like, no, we killed 3. He's like, what? Like, yeah, we got 3. And we're like, we got to go back up tomorrow and go get the rest of them, or go get the other one in our camp. But it turned out that with the snowstorm that came, their guys hadn't even left to go hunting yet. So here we're tapped out, and his guided guys hadn't even gone. We actually told him where the ram was and where the group of rams were. And one of their guys actually went up and killed the one that we wanted to kill. And it was like a 41-inch sheep. It was a really good ram. We can't complain. We killed a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 12-year-old ram for our first rams. So there was nothing wrong. The next day we went and got our camp and my sheep, and we hung out and took care of our capes and flew out, I want to say the 13th or the 14th of August. And that was my first successful sheep hunt.
Oh, so sheep hunting's really easy then, eh? Just roll in, shoot 3 sheep, and get on out right away.
Yeah. That was during some good years in the Brooks Range. I want to say that was, I think, 2009, and there was a few pretty good years up there like that, and then they kind of backed off a little bit. It got decent again recently too, but now there's been some closures in some of those areas. But yeah, that was one of my best Alaskan sheep hunts.
That kind of suck you into the whole sheep world here,
Yeah,
from there you go. Sorry.
Yeah, it definitely got me kind of hooked. I remember there was like one moment where I was packing, and when I had to go back up to go get mine, and I remember thinking in one moment that I was like, man, I'm glad I got a ram, because this was really hard. And after trying to hike back up after you pack rams out and this and that, and and then like the next moment I was like already thinking about the next hunt. So, and since that moment, I've never, ever thought about like, oh, I'm glad I did this, because now I don't ever have to do it again. It's like the passion just grew every hunt that I've been on, and they've only just gotten better and better.
So did you go to sheep show before that, or is that hunt and then, all right, I'm going to go to the next 14?
Yeah, actually that year I did go. I'm trying to think of when it started. Yeah, that would make sense. That's 14, 15 years ago.
All right, on. Have you done your slam?
Yeah. I finished my slam in 2016.
Oh, right on. What'd you go after doll sheep?
So I got a couple dolls up here, and then in 2012 I went to BC and killed a stone sheep with Dustin Rowe. And then in the spring of 2013, so it was that winter that I still did that. And that year, so I did a solo doll hunt in Alaska in 2012 in the fall, and hiked into the Talkeetna Mountains and killed a ram. And then a couple weeks later, went over and killed a stone sheep in British Columbia. And then I was at the Grand Slam show, and so I was it was a half slam or 3/4 slam drawing for your 1 more for 4, 2 more for 4 at the time. And one of my friends was sitting at the table with me, and we both said, hey, if there was only like 70 people in the room, and so you have to be present to win. And we're like, holy crap, this is good odds. And we both said, hey, if one of us draws this, the other person gets to go. So either way, we're going to go sheep hunting if somebody were to draw. And we're like, yeah, but who's going to draw this? Well, what do you know? They drew his name. And so he was a 3/4 slammer, and he got drawn, and he needed a desert. And so he went desert sheep hunting, and I went with him, and not to go hunt, but we got down there, and this situation kind of finagled to where I was able to shoot a ram myself. So at that point I was over the course of like 6 months, I had shot 3/4 of a slam. And so then Dustin Rowe, my good buddy, you guys probably know Dustin, he's like, well, let's go kill a bighorn before it comes into your 12 months, so we can say you killed a slam in 12 months. And I was like, pump the brakes, man, pump the brakes. Like, I gotta pay for this. Like, I gotta figure out how this is happening. So I took a couple years, and then booked it out. And in the fall of 2015, I went back with Dustin, and we went to BC, and I killed a bighorn.
Oh, right on. That's twice with Dustin. That's got to be quite the experience. Were they both horseback hunts, or?
No. So actually, no, take that back. We used horses. And Dustin was actually on that desert sheep hunt with my friend and I as well. So I actually was with him on 3 of my sheep. We used horses on the bighorn hunt to access, just to gain some country back. And then his dad took the horses out of the country, and then we just went hunting on, using our backpacks and went. And then once we were successful and hiked down, they came and picked us up on horses again.
Oh, right on. Were you not looking for specific areas, but were you in the Rockies with that one?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I'm not super familiar with how the mountain ranges work in British Columbia, but yeah, it was, close to the Alberta side of BC.
Okay, yeah, that's some cool terrain out there. A little bit different than home for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, out of all the hunts that I've done for sheep of the 4 different species, physicality wise and toughness wise, the bighorn hunt, I definitely think that's the most challenging hunt, for sure. For me, at least.
A lot of straight up on that.
Yeah, and then also just with the fact that there's trees, spotting them becomes a little different. I mean, doll sheep are white and they stick out. I mean, of course, you gotta glass and put your time in, but desert sheep are a little harder to spot. They kind of blend in, and it seems like stone sheep did too. But it seems like there's a lot of deserts these days, so we were seeing a lot of sheep. My stone hunt, we killed first day. That's my only first day sheep hunt I've ever had. But we spotted a ram in the evening. It was just too good of a ram not to go kill it, and so we killed it. So it was an easy experience for me. I know that that's not always the case But yeah, the bighorn was by far the most challenging for me physically.
Yeah. With Dustin, do you have that on film somewhere that too, or?
Yeah, so we do actually. My stone made really good film. It was fighting with another ram on like a snowbank. So
Oh,
with them
cool.
being like dark BC rams, we watched them for a long time and we're recording it. And then they had just butted heads and were like both phased and stopped and shaking their heads. And then I dropped one right behind the shoulder and dropped the ram right there dead. So it was a pretty cool video. And then as we were walking up to it, the other ram actually came back around, circled around to see what was going on and came like right up to us. So it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, that'd be neat. And then you have it living on film forever too to check in on.
Yep.
And you have some of your rams or all your rams in one of our friends' shops. You're storing stuff in Barney Sports Chalet.
Oh yeah. I definitely had some sheep there for a little while. They're out of there now and they're in my house. Ruby and we had sold a house and I had bought land and we were going to build. And so Kevin was storing a couple of the sheep there for a while. But we ended up when interest rates got really low, we decided to buy instead of build. So once we got our place, we moved the sheep back home. So I got all the sheep in our living room right now.
So what goes first, the sheep or the couch? What do you go grab first and move into the new house?
I'm trying to think. We had the couch came first, and because I had to get a truck, but it would have gone the other way if I could have. But I had to think about that for a second because I know we had ordered the couch too. So it was I do think that about half the sheep were in about the same time, and then the other half came a little bit after.
Yeah. So the hunting you do for deer up there. Now you're doing it off the boat. Would that be Sika deer?
Yeah, Sika black-tailed deer.
Nice. How do you enjoy hunting those, or you just mainly like to set the people up and sit on the boat and wait for them to come back?
So for me, growing up as a kid, hunting with like my dad and my grandpa, that's what I grew up hunting was black-tailed deer. And in Prince William Sound, where I grew up out of Cordova, there's a 5 deer limit. And so when I was like a super young kid, I was blasting deer with my dad and having a good time. My dad and my grandpa were meat hunters, not trophy hunters. They like to shoot big bucks and have some competition with themselves. But we did all headshots. We'd get proxy tags, so where we could shoot more than 5. I mean, we had years where we'd shoot 15 deer each.
Jeez.
And, we come back and it was like, that's how I learned how to hunt was doing that and bringing them back and butchering them and giving them to elders and family and friends. And, but we'd always go out on the boat. We'd stay on the boat. We'd camp overnight on the boat. We'd have good food. We'd talk and laugh. Those were like some of my best hunting memories as a kid. And, of course, we've done it our whole life. And so when I started doing these trips, I tried to use that as kind of how I run them. It's a fun hunt. In Kodiak, you're allowed 3 bucks. I tell my guys I recommend they get 2 tags just to not put as much pressure on bucks. But you can shoot more than one animal. There's also fox, there's sea ducks. You're going to see bears. I have crab pots in the water. We're eating really good. We're having a good time. The boat's super comfortable. We can dry our gear out every day. It's just a fun hunt. So to me, even though it's just a stick of black-tailed deer, there's a lot more to that hunt than just a little deer hunt. It's also, I mean, as you guys all know with sheep hunting, if you're lucky enough to live in an area where you can sheep hunt, without having to book a hunt, that's awesome. But if you really love sheep hunting, it means you're probably going to book a hunt, and it's expensive. And this hunt that I offer, it's reasonable. And so you can be a sheep hunter and you could do this hunt every year. And have a really good time, shoot multiple animals. You can bring a group of friends. I take groups 4 to 6 people. So it's just fun. It's a good time. You can have competition with the guys who kills the biggest buck, but everybody's having a good time.
Yeah, that sounds like a full West Coast experience. Crab pots down. I'm sure you're feeding fish and
we good on it.
Yeah. So I'll be coming up for that shortly.
Perfect. Come on up.
Now, in Alaska, everything's an abundance. You guys have an incredible array of animals, just like we do here in BC. What's your favorite hunt?
Honestly, like if I could just pick one awesome hunt to go do in Alaska, it would be to do one sheep hunt every year. It's a little frustrating. My work schedule makes it to where I can't do that as much as I used to. But the thing I really love about sheep hunting and sheep hunting up here is the way I grew up hunting and hunting goats, hunting deer, hunting moose, hunting everything. Is like fighting weather. So growing up in coastal Alaska, you just have the weather is just way more extreme than interior and any mountain hunting, if you're hunting sheep. And so like with goats, it's like figure out where we're going to go. You find your goat and it's run up the mountain, kill it and run it down. We don't spend the night on the hill and, it's you're always fighting weather. And if boats involved, you're dealing with storms. And when you go sheep hunting, like generally, like the weather's just not that bad. You might have some wind here and there and you might get some rain or some snow, but it's just nothing compared to coastal Alaska. And you usually, when you do a sheep hunt, like you give yourself 10 days or you give yourself a week or you give yourself more than that. But sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days to like really settle out into your hunt and to actually enjoy it. And that's something that I don't often get to do. And I don't often get that much time. So when I do get to do that and go on a sheep hunt and spend the time, I've always loved that. And it's just a different feeling, 3 days in and you feel like you're just getting going to where any other of the hunts I do. Like, I mean, if it's like usually a 1 day gig or maybe you got 2 days or you have 2 bad days of weather and you get one little break and then you make it happen and you run down before the next storm comes in.
Yeah. Then you're not dealing with the weather. I always say is the worst we can have on the coast, and that's that freezing rain sideways coming in.
Yep. Yep. And then with us with boats, I mean, if you're up on the mountain and it's really crappy, like you're trusting your life to the anchor on your boat and hoping it's going to be there when you get back.
Yeah, it's not something I've ever had to worry about. I can see that get hit by a storm and you're worried about your boat not being usable when you get back there or even being there. So that'd be a different worry.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you had to choose one animal that you were going to hunt every year, and that was the only thing you could ever hunt, that it would be the sheep. That'd be your go-to probably.
So now, is that Alaska specific? Like in Alaska?
Let's go worldwide. Let's go there.
Worldwide. Yeah, I think I'd still pick sheep. There is just something special about sheep hunting. Some of the other, I did go to Africa once and I had a blast, and my wife and I are going to go back this fall. I shot a Cape Buffalo while I was there, and that was really awesome. And so it's been a little while. I'm going to shoot another one on this trip. I think that could be a close second. But yeah, there's just something about sheep hunting. I love being out in the mountains. I love the camping. I love the aspect of it and packing everything on your back. But as I get older and more out of shape, I might change over to an African Cape Buffalo hunt.
Well, those Cape Buffalo hunts, they can be interesting. My wife and I, we were there in May, and every guide had a story that, perfect shot, and that the buffalo just kept going, and you're chasing them for forever over mountains, and then you got to get them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're pretty wild hunts. Mine was I went over with a buddy, and he shot an elephant, a rhino, and what else did he shoot? But he shot a lot of animals on that trip. But the one thing he didn't shoot was a Cape Buffalo, and I shot a Cape Buffalo, and we were both with each other the whole time. And I got to say, the elephant was the number one experience of that trip. And the Cape Buffalo was the number two, just barely behind it. Like those two moments in my life, in my hunting life, were like probably the most intense moments right on an animal.
Well, that's a whole nother ball game that we don't even have anything that compares to it over here. Did the toughness of the animals over there surprise you? I know it caught me right off guard. Like their
Yep.
will to survive was something else.
Yeah, that was the first thing he shot was a gemsbuck, and he shoots this thing and he shot it again, and it did go down, and we got up to the thing, and I couldn't believe how big it was, like just physically, like mass wise, like, it was a lot bigger than a lot of our animals. And then like that was the case with everything. Everything's bigger over there. Everything's tougher over there. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised to go to Africa. It wasn't like on my list while at that age. I figured I'd be getting a little older before I went, and I'm so glad I went. And now my wife was bugging me for a while about wanting to go over there, and we booked a trip. And then we found out we were pregnant like 2 weeks later, and changes things a little bit. But we're still going to go and make it happen.
I would be. Whereabouts in where were you guys, or where are you headed?
We're just going to go to South Africa. We're just going to have a pretty laid back trip and see how this goes. And the first one with her, I think later in life, if we go back, I'd like to go do something else and go maybe after bongo. I'd love to kill an elephant one day, but I don't know if when that'll be in the cards. But I sure would like to at some point. But yeah, I'd like to get in and explore outside of South Africa and go to some other countries and maybe like Mozambique or Botswana, or get out there and go do something different.
Yeah, so South Africa seems like it's a pretty kid-friendly place, and the lodges all seem top-notch. I don't even know anyone that's had a bad experience over there.
Yeah, it's just a fun hunt. And there's something, now that I'm married and I hunt with my wife a lot, there's something about, both people having fun. And my wife's tougher than almost any woman I know, but like, there's still like a point like that I could have her like wanting to kill me on a mountain hunt. So like to save peace, like doing one of these every once in a while is good.
Yeah, there's that type 2 fun we all talk about, the suffering that you love kind of deal.
For sure.
You got any big plans this fall with baby here, or just nice and easy, stick to your usual routines?
Yeah, we're going to try to just make our season work. And I think that it's just going to be a kind of a balance year of, everything was really dialed for what we do with my wife and I, and she's a big part of my business and a big part of the hunting business. I mean, she has people, that we all become friends when we do our hunts, and she's a large personality, if you know her, and a lot of fun. And we've really dialed in our business well. So this year is going to be just kind of find our groove with the baby and try to make sure that we're still offering everything we can for our clients. And then we're, operating as a family together. And so that's our big thing this year. We don't have a lot of time off between fishing and my hunting season, and Africa is going to take up a good part of that. We're leaving for Africa. The hunt starts basically the last day of sheep season in Alaska. So here's hoping Friday we draw a sheep tag, and then I make the time to do it. But odds are low up here, so we'll see what happens.
What's your fishing season look like? It sounds like you're a little jam-packed, off the boat, on the boat, off the boat.
We're gonna be busy. The forecast this year is really good. So that's good. You never know what the forecast, if they come in right as well or not. A lot of changes in my industry now are our cost of goods and finding parts and spare parts and fuel costs. So my fishing business is a little bit more like making sure we're prepared to handle anything. And it's definitely the bulk of my business is made in the fishing part, not the hunting part. So, and it's short and sweet. So there's a lot of stress involved in that, but I love it. I've done it since I was a kid, and it keeps me pretty excited. And I love to be competitive at it. And I love it that it is a competitive fishery. And we like to kick ass. So we just go out there and go kill it.
Yeah, that's commercial fishing is that's something. That's a special breed of people. I'm not going to lie. So baby Arbor, she's got Africa lined up. She's got her first sheep hunt lined up. Where do you go from there? Like, where do you go from that? 2 years old, you got sheep in Africa under your belt. What's going on?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one thing. I remember my dad telling me something when I was a kid, and he said, any parent, they've done a good job if their kid can have more opportunity than they did and could learn what they learn and then take it to the next level. And that's all that I hope, is that I can be a good dad that can give her a ton of great experiences. And who knows if she'll like hunting? My guess is she will, but I'll show her as much as I can, and hopefully she can take it to the next level and the next step above what I do.
Awesome. Well, I don't know. You have any questions, Kyle?
No, man, it's one of those podcasts I love where you just sit back and let the guests do all the talking. You got so many great stories, Derek, and we'll have to talk to you about trying to hook up with you on a trip up there. I know that our BC guys would love to come and do one of those blacktail hunts up there. I know they've done similar ones in the past. They do really well at our fundraisers, so we'll have to chat with you at some point and see if we can, if you got some openings in the seasons and down the road, that we could work with you on something like that. So
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I think a bunch of our executive, we had 6 guys or 5 guys go up there about 5 years ago, and they still talk about this today. It's, just the whole experience. The hunting was great, but it was more the social experience and the camaraderie, right? So
yeah, it is. It's just a fun hunt. It's there's plenty of animals, so it's like, even if you see this giant buck and you blow it, or it chases a doe and you never see it again, it's like, you never know. Like 20 minutes later, you might find a bigger buck. It's just plain fun.
yeah, awesome. So I guess you guys will be Sheep Week in 24, so we'll get to meet the new baby, and maybe she walks away with a sheep hunt or something like that at the. I guess less than one. We can send her to less than one. She can do the life member breakfast. Lots of chances to win for her, I guess. Eh?
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think about that. Wouldn't that be crazy?
I wonder if they let her to defer until she was 10 or 12 or 14 or whatever you need to be to go on the hunt. So
yeah, that would it would be awesome if they could do that. It would also be awesome if they let Ruby or me shoot it too.
Yeah, just here to help, right? So
yeah, I figure one of these points, I'd sure love to win one. It's like, I've known a couple of people to win hunts over the years, and it's like, it happens. So, somebody's got to win.
yeah, same too, right? I put in for everything, but in some token, I look at it, I feel like, being in BC and probably you in Alaska, we kind of won the lottery anyway when it comes to hunting and opportunity. But yeah, not trying to diminish it. But one of those, you guys hunt those big Kodiaks and those big bears on the island, on the peninsula there, man. That's a hunt of a lifetime. And boy, if I ever had an opportunity to do that, that's right at the top of my list. It'd be amazing.
Right on. Yeah, it's exciting. Brown bears, the first time I started working brown bear hunts, honestly, it wasn't my favorite because of, it's a little bit boring. And like, I was pretty young when I started doing it, and I was used to like wanting to go and hike. And with bear hunting, it's a lot of sitting. And once I started getting on some good bear kills, and then once I started being the guide and leading stalks and killing some big bears, once it gets in your blood like that, holy cow, the rush, the excitement. You can sit for 5 days glassing before you do a stalk, and then you can go on a short stalk, maybe an hour or 20 minutes, and you go kill a bear. But like, it's so worth it when it actually happens and you have that moment up close and personal with a giant 10-foot bear.
Well, it's interesting. Kevin Dana had gone up the peninsula there a few years back. He killed a really nice bear 5 years ago, maybe 6 now. And, he was talking about that. And he said that, he'd had an opportunity to hunt, and he said it was such a weird experience because they're so sensitive to smell that you hung out. Like, and if the bears weren't there, you just hung out, because traipsing around the island, it's going to be game over. They smell you, wind you, and they'll never come out. Right. So that's the one thing he mentioned. It was a lot of sitting until it was go time, and then it was like, get after it. Right. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, pretty cool experience. No, that's kind of all I had, man. I really stoked, and I'm looking forward to meet you down at Sheep Week this coming year, and see you around, and get to meet the whole family down there. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. I'll be looking forward to that too. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Make sure I just about kicked